What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer and Tim Hyde with news of a new commitment for the Fighting Irish in the 2025 class. We're going to break it down in this video. Please hit the thumbs up on it. Subscribe to our channel. Of course, if you are new, blueandgold.com is your home for all things Fighting Irish football and recruiting coverage. The new pledge, Tim, it's a big one, literally and figuratively. A huge Notre Dame target, highly ranked prospect, big-time offer list. It's Owen Strebig, Notre Dame going into the Badger State and beating out Wisconsin, beating out USC, Miami, some of the schools that he was interested in and visited. So Owen Strebig announcing on Thursday, February 8th, that he's committing to Notre Dame over those programs. Tim, you're a big offensive line guy. I am sure you are fired up about this news.
Yeah, I've been waiting 11 months since he got his offer. I remember the day he got his offer. I'm like, boom, here's the next elite offensive tackle to go get. And he is a fun one. Look at his measurables down there, Mike. Look at his arm length, everything about this guy. And when we talk recruiting, just right there, oh my God, if you go back, just his knee bend. He's 6'7" and he's not standing up. He's already in a low stance. He plays with really good fundamentals, which I love. He's huge. Some of these things, someone might say, oh, he looks like he's lumbering or whatnot. Number one, that's the scheme. I watched his highlight film, his sophomore film 1,000 times. They're a zone scheme. They're a pin and pull team. They're not a straight ahead power veer type run blocking team. So it's a movement area scheme and super talented. You see his footwork. Outstanding basketball player. People go on his Twitter. You want to see a 6'7", 6'8", 300-pound guy do a 360 dunk? It's on Twitter. It's unbelievable. So look at that stance right there. There's one of my favorite plays right here. He is so low to the ground at 6'7", and he's pinning and pulling. And this is a 17-year-old, folks. This is a kid who still needs to obviously develop, keep growing with his body into his thing. I've been around a lot of just awkwardly gangly type linemen that take time to move. And I think Owen Strebig is super elite already with his movement. Take those arms. You got a guy who's going to play. He's probably going to be I'll put him at right tackle. Just his massive size he's got really good punch and pass blocking. So I could see this guy battling for the right tackle spot here in a couple of years, gets into Notre Dame, gets into the weight room. This is one of my favorite plays right there. The rip reach outside zone. You see his stance, how low he gets on there, and he leans into the guy. That's great coaching. Great coaching right here. And there's another one later on where he does the outside zone. So I could ramble, Mike. This is one of my favorite. Seriously, I've been waiting 11 months to talk about this guy. He is fantastic. Notre Dame has recruited some elite offensive tackles the last 4 years. Excuse me. My gosh, Mike, we already forgot about Blake Fisher and Mr. Joe Alt. So
Tosh Baker before that,
Tosh
even.
Baker before that. No, I feel you. So add him to the list and just keep that pipeline going from Notre Dame to the NFL. And congrats to Owen, his family. Really good high school football coaches as well. So I want to give those guys a high five.
What excites you most about him as a prospect? Is it that athleticism? Because Tim, when I write my class superlatives article, I love putting big men as most athletic. I love my offensive linemen who are basketball players. For you, is it athleticism or is it something else?
When you see a guy who's 6'7", 6'8", whatever, he is. He's tall. The fact that he could get, right there again, you see his knees, you see his, I like to say, toes under his armpits. Right there's, this is one of my favorite ones, just the way he moves. You can see he's constantly putting his feet down. He's not a lumbering guy where he's clogging and whatnot. It's movement. He's probably got size 17, and those things are just hauling butt. But he is very athletic, and I think some people may get the knock. Oh, he's just a big lug. No, this dude's athletic. Watch him play basketball, and that's why I get excited when you see a kid who's 17 and already has these traits, already has these movement skills. When you get him into a Notre Dame weight room, Coach Landau and all his expertise and Coach Rudolph, there's no reason why you can't see this guy starting, being a 3-year starter for Notre Dame and going to the NFL. That's high praise and things of that nature. but he has it, and he's got one more year of high school football. Let him redshirt in 2025, more than likely, right? As Notre Dame, that's just what we do traditionally there at Notre Dame. See where he's at in the spring of 2026, and is he going to be the 2026 version of Charles Jagasaw and those types of guys, that redshirt and then play as redshirt freshman, which a long history of those at Notre Dame.
Tim, you talk about my favorite term in recruiting, and it's follow the visits. And he's been to Wisconsin 7 times, Notre Dame 6 times, but look at, his 5th most recent visit to Wisconsin was, November 26th. Compare that to Notre Dame is last June. Yeah. So look at all these trips he's been to Notre Dame, within the past year, compared to a year and a half there with Wisconsin. So he's just been frequently visiting Notre Dame. Joe Rudolph did a really good job here. Deuce Knight, Notre Dame's quarterback, commit for the 25 cycle. Very close with Owen, Marcus Freeman, Chad Bowden. I'm sure Mike Denbrock coming in because Owen was on campus for that junior day on the 20th. Got to meet with Mike Denbrock. So just really good job of the Notre Dame staff. I would argue that he has been the number 1 offensive tackle on their board. As much as I would love to sit in the room, and look at what that board might be, I'm not able to. But I think Owen Strebig was probably like the guy. It's like we have to go get him. And also wanted to note, Tim, Notre Dame recruiting in the state of Wisconsin before they landed Billy Strouth in the 2022 class. It had 20 years before they went into the Badger State and landed a player there. And you have 2 now in this 2025 cycle with Strebig and then James Flanagan, the son of Jim Flanagan, former Notre Dame defensive lineman. So you do love to see Notre Dame recruiting, going into the Badger State and land in, maybe you don't want to go into Wisconsin and land a bunch of running backs and receivers, but tight end and offensive linemen, I'll take that.
Oh, there's a ton. You just watch high school film of those guys, and that's why Rudolph, and even before him during the Alvarez years, they had linemen just rank into the NFL that were home state. But great point on recruiting Wisconsin, Mike. They have the number 1 and the number 2 players in that state. And obviously Luke Fickell, heck of a football coach, doing a good job of Wisconsin, things of that nature. But I think that's those Joe Rudolph, those ties, how long he was there, and a lot of good people that he knows. Obviously Flanagan's dad was an All-American NFL player who's at Notre Dame. That helps. But going real quick with Rudolph, this was one of the first guys in the 2025 class he went after. When he first got there, he went after, Anthony Knapp to finish up the 24 cycle. And then for this 25 cycle, it was just go after Big Owen. And he really is. And I think his finalist, I study offensive line coaches. USC's O-line coach was a Joe Moore finalist a few years ago. The O-line coach at Miami is outstanding. Oh my God. And the Wisconsin guy is the guy that Notre Dame was looking at a year ago, who was at Vanderbilt the last few years. So really good offensive line coaches. And for Owen to obviously pick Notre Dame and Joe Rudolph is awesome. And I'm super excited. I think he has just so many skills. You got Jagasaw, obviously Lambert, these last 3 classes, 3 really super talented guys that all play multiple sports.
Yeah.
They're elite, 5-star type offensive tackles that play multiple sports. And that's a good thing to see at Notre Dame, the type of skill they're recruiting, with the big boys.
Yeah. Think about Wagner. I don't remember if he played basketball. I know he's a big track and field guy. Jagasaw wrestler, went, I think, undefeated his senior year, if I remember correctly. And Strebig's basketball player. I need to find this footage of him throwing down the 360 dunks you alluded to earlier, Tim.
Seriously. It is wild. It's what?
So, at 6'8", 300 pounds. So big news, folks. I know you like this news. So show us you like it by hitting that little thumbs up on this video. Of course, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Go to blueandgold.com. Kyle Kelly from Blue and Gold has already interviewed Owen and has that story on our website. We've got expert reaction and more. So check it out over at blueandgold.com. Appreciate you all for watching. And as always, we will catch you next time.